Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44. So I want to talk about a couple buyout candidates that are out there for teams like the Lakers and the Nets and the Nuggets and anybody else that's in the mix for championships. Now I understand that a couple guys have already signed. Jeff Teague, of course, is off the books. Now he is with the Milwaukee Bucks. You got of course, LaMarcus and Blake Griffin going to the Nets. Of course, Drummond going to the Lakers. But we still got a couple guys out there that we can pay attention to. One being Avery Bradley. He's gotten traded from the Heat in the Oladipo trade. The Rockets, I believe, have waived him immediately, and he should be ready to go. You also got Otto Porter Jr. from the Orlando Magic. I'm pretty certain he'll be bought out very soon. Austin Rivers has agreed to a buyout as well. And the Lakers particularly have said they're interested in a 3-and-D player. I think Otto Porter fits that bill quite well, even though I'm not a big fan of Otto Porter because he has a lot of games where he does nothing. So my concern is that we're bringing in an Otto Porter that's not going to help us a whole lot. Yeah, Otto can play. That's never been in question. He's actually not that old. Maybe he's been in the league for about 10 years, probably as old as Drummond, but he plays older, in my opinion. He's a old. If he's like 30, he's an old 30. That's the thing about him. But when he's on, he's on. He can stretch the floor very well. He does play some defense, and that's pretty much all you're asking him to do. But the thing that I'm worried about is that we bring him in, and he just doesn't do anything. He just gives us a whole lot of nothing, and we find ourselves sitting out there saying, well, he was nice, but like Wesley Matthews, he didn't give it to us. That's what we don't want. So it's one of those things where it's like I prefer Austin Rivers, even though Austin Rivers is not the defensive player, and he doesn't play the 3 spot, which is probably what we're looking for. When you think of 3-and-D, it's not about just 3-point shooting and defense, but usually people are talking about the small forward position. So I don't think Austin Rivers really plays that position at all. But nevertheless, he would be the player that I'd want in the buyout candidate. As our buyout candidate. If I had to put money on anybody, it would be that guy. Now, some would say, well, obviously you should go with Avery Bradley because Avery Bradley was the guy who knows your system, who played as a starter throughout the entire first half of the season last year, and we were dominant with him doing so. He was an excellent jump shooter for us and an excellent defensive player for everyone, always. And if we brought him back, I think we'd be very happy to have him for certain. I think the thing about him and with Laker Nation is, and this isn't fair. I don't necessarily feel this way, but I think this is like the sentiment of a lot of fans. He made a decision, which I thought was the right one, to stay out of the bubble because he has a son or a child. I'm not sure if it's a son or daughter, but he has a child who may have been high risk for COVID. And so that was an honorable thing. I think it was the right move. But I think some of Laker Nation kind of didn't know that or understand that or care, and just kind of are like, well, you had an opportunity to be here. You didn't go into the bubble with us to win a championship, so bringing you back is not really what we're looking to do. My position is not like that. I'm looking at it more so along the lines of how has he been doing since? What kind of shape is he in? Is he healthy? He's one of those guys where, yeah, we last saw him look really, really good, but every season is precious when you get to that age. And I think the same about Rondo to a certain degree, same about Blake Griffin, same about LaMarcus Aldridge, same about some of the other players of that age range. You just don't know when the first year is going to be when they're absolutely done. And you don't want to be the guy that has them in a real role on your team and to find that out. And that's my concern with Avery Bradley. I don't know that he's played very much this season. I don't know what his injury status is because I ain't paying attention to him with the Heat at all. And I was a bit disappointed he signed with the Heat because I felt like since he didn't help us win a championship, maybe come back on vet minimum and make that right. I think that's part of the problem with Laker Nation as well. And for that, I kind of wish he would have signed with us. But he did what he did, and he went to Miami, and it hasn't turned into what he thought it would. Now he's traded, which was pretty predictable if you ask me. And now he's looking for a team, and the Lakers are available, and we need what he does. So I would welcome him back. I would. I wouldn't hold all of this against him at all, because I don't really care nothing about that. What it really comes down to is a guy, can he help us win? If the answer is yes, the last time we saw him, he certainly was helpful. Um, then I don't see any harm at all in bringing him in. I'd rather have him than Wesley Matthews. But I don't. Again, it all depends on how he looks. So that's what I have to say about that. I think Otto Porter is kind of the same thing in a way. Even though he's younger, I still don't have all the faith in the world in Otto Porter from game to game to game. Maybe one random game in the playoffs he can give you 30. Like, he's capable of doing stuff like that. But more than not, he's not going to do anything at all. More than not, you're going to have a player down there that you're probably going to see as your weakest link. So bringing in a guy like Otto Porter Jr., if my understanding of him is accurate, he's not the answer either. But with Austin Rivers, that's not a problem. We know dang well who Austin Rivers is. He's coming in, he's looking to score. He's coming in to light people up. He's coming in to do exactly what his game has always been, which is to come off that bench and go to work. Now, he too, like Otto, tends to disappear. That's the problem. But he's one of those guys where if you light a fire under him and you give him a role that he can work with, and he's engaged and he's excited about what he's doing, he's going to give you everything he has. It's when he's not engaged, when he's not interested, when he's not happy, do you find yourself not getting a whole lot of consistency out of Austin Rivers. But I think if you put him on this Laker team right now, you telling me he has a chance to win his first NBA championship, I think Austin Rivers gives you a lot of what you need from him. And you're not asking him to play more than 15 minutes a night, 15, 20 minutes at the most, since we're so deep. But he'll be a guy that you can count on to stay ready and be ready when his number is called. I think in this particular situation, so he's the best bet. None of these guys are world beaters. The only real world beater in the buyout market is a guy we just picked up in Andre Drummond, and we're happy we got him. But as far as everything else, it's just complimentary guys. We just want somebody to come in, somebody who's probably hungry to win a championship and go to work. It would be nice if the Kings bought out somebody like Harrison Barnes. If the buyout market could get a bit more talented, that would be great. There are a couple guys I'm looking to see if there's a buyout agreement that can happen. A guy like Steven Adams, I think, deserves to be bought out, even though his contract is crazy. I would love to see him go somewhere. Obviously, the Lakers are not in that conversation, but a team like the Celtics could certainly use a guy like Steven Adams. A team like who could use a backup center? There's a lot of teams that could use a front court player, especially since front courts are very much needed at this point. The big man is back, so there's a lot of places a guy like Steven Adams can go, and probably one of the worst places for him to be is where he is. So hopefully he can get bought out. And I think a guy like Al Horford, same thing. It would be great to see Al Horford up out of OKC. Clearly, they got a bunch of youngsters that they like at that position. Moses Brown is the truth. There should be no reason why Moses ain't getting 30 minutes a night from here on out. The end. A guy like Marco Carter Williams is playing big enough minutes for the Orlando Magic. I don't see the point in that. He should also be bought out. So there's some guys who I think could be bought out that may not get bought out. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. But stay tuned, because I think there's some things that are pending. I have a feeling there are some agents calling some teams saying, look, we want to be on a contender. And maybe the teams might not be as quick to make those moves, but we'll see in the coming days and weeks if something like that comes about, because I got a feeling it will. So yeah, man, that's what I got to say. Just a couple buyout names. I'm sure there are others. You can look all over the league and see guys in situations they shouldn't be in. And, from there you would hope to see them get bought out and be able to find themselves on a team like the Lakers or the Nets or something like that. So we will see. Thank you guys for watching. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.